In the dusty outskirts of a rural town, 11-year-old Tommy Novak stumbled upon something extraordinary. It was hidden in the tall, dry grass beside the abandoned railway track, half buried in the earth, a smooth, metallic disc that glowed faintly even in the midday sun. It looked like nothing he'd ever seen before. Tommy squatted down, his fingers brushing away the dust, marveling at the silvery patterns etched along its surface. They reminded him of constellations he'd once seen in an old astronomy book. He didn't think twice before pocketing it. In his mind, he'd just discovered a new frisbee, though maybe a bit heavy. He ran home, his old sneakers kicking up puffs of dust as he imagined himself throwing the frisbee for his dog Max, who was already barking in excitement. The disc gleamed mysteriously, but that only made it cooler. Back at the house, he tossed it across the yard. To his amazement, it hovered, spinning in midair before darting back toward him like a boomerang. Tommy blinked in shock, but quickly decided that, somehow, he'd found the world's best toy. As he continued playing, unaware of the strange signals the artifact was emitting, things started happening elsewhere. Far from Earth, aboard a dormant alien vessel stationed on the moon's dark side, sensors that hadn't activated in 2 millennia blinked to life. Its scanners picked up the faint signals of the relic's activation on Earth. The alien ship's onboard intelligence, which had been lying in stasis, recognized the artifact's signal as a distress call. The ship's dormant crew, a sentient race known as the Ellari, ancient explorers who once scouted for intelligent life on promising planets, began to awaken. The Ellari, soft-skinned beings with shimmering eyes and elongated limbs, were bewildered at first. But once they understood that the relic had been reactivated on Earth, they prepared to investigate. Back on Earth, Tommy noticed the disc beginning to hum, a subtle sound that grew louder each time he threw it. He looked up, suddenly feeling nervous. It was getting dark, and the strange frisbee seemed to vibrate with a life of its own. He thought of putting it away, but as he held it, he felt warmth seep into his hands, a strange sensation like someone or something was holding his hands through the disc. Just then, his older sister, Ava, called him in for dinner. He stuffed the disc in his backpack, eager to figure out what to do with it later. Hours later, the Ellari ship descended invisibly toward Earth, using advanced cloaking technology. They scanned the artifact's location, finding it within a small home in the town. Through their translators, they intercepted Tommy's and Ava's voices inside. After thousands of years of research into human languages, they understood just enough to decipher basic communication. But they were cautious. This was a creature of a kind they hadn't interacted with in eons. One of the Ellari, a scout named Zephyr, volunteered to retrieve the artifact. With a shimmer, he materialized in Tommy's room, nearly transparent. The sight of the boys sleeping peacefully surprised Zephyr. He hadn't expected such innocence from a species they once believed too primitive for interstellar communication. The scout's cloaking wavered as he leaned over the backpack, reaching for the artifact. But just as he touched it, Tommy stirred and opened his eyes. Seeing Zephyr, he gasped but stayed still, staring wide-eyed at the strange, ghostly figure in his room. "Are you a ghost?" he whispered, clutching his blanket. Zephyr's voice was soft and melodic, but strange in its timbre. "I am not a ghost. I am Ellari. I am here for the artifact. The disc you found." Tommy, feeling surprisingly brave, pulled the backpack toward him. "It's mine," he said defensively. "I found it, and it's the coolest thing ever." Zephyr paused, studying the boy's face. "You have awoken something very powerful," he said slowly. "This artifact is special to my people. It is not a toy, but it moves by itself." Tommy protested, feeling a bit guilty, but still reluctant to part with his discovery. "It's amazing," Zephyr sighed, realizing he would have to find a way to earn the boy's trust. "Would you allow me to show you where it came from?" he asked. "If you understand, perhaps you will see why it is important to us." Tommy hesitated, but curiosity won out. "Okay, but only if I can bring Max," he said, gesturing to his loyal dog. Minutes later, with a flash of light, Tommy, Max, and Zephyr vanished from his bedroom. They reappeared on the moon, inside the Ellari ship. Zephyr guided Tommy through a long corridor illuminated with alien constellations and symbols that pulsed as they walked. Max, surprisingly calm, padded alongside, sniffing curiously. In a large, domed room, the walls displayed scenes of lush worlds with towering forests, crystal lakes, and sprawling cities. The Ellari had once searched the galaxy for intelligent species, hoping to share knowledge, art, and stories. They left these artifacts behind, only to be found once a species reached a certain level of technological understanding. The disk you found is called the Starseer, Zephyr explained, pointing to a holographic projection of the artifact. It holds knowledge, memories of countless civilizations. But only those who have grown to appreciate its history can unlock its secrets. Tommy looked at the hologram, then at Zephyr. "So, you're saying I'm not ready?" he asked, feeling a twinge of disappointment. Zephyr smiled kindly. "Not quite yet, but perhaps someday." He bent down, gently taking the disc from Tommy's hand. "For now, it will sleep again until humanity is ready." Though disappointed, Tommy nodded, understanding in a way that surprised even him. The Ellari might have seen humans as young, but they didn't treat him like a child. As Zephyr prepared to take him and Max home, he paused. "You may not yet be ready for the Starseer, Tommy," he said, "but you are brave and curious. Hold on to those. One day, they will lead you to wonders beyond your imagination." Back in his room, Tommy blinked, suddenly feeling as if he'd just woken from a vivid dream. The disc was gone, and Max was curled up on his bed, fast asleep. Yet when he looked up, he saw a faint glow, a shimmering constellation on his ceiling, marking the Ellari's visit. As he drifted off, he wondered if he'd ever see Zephyr and the Ellari again. For now, he'd keep the memory close, a secret shared between him and the stars above, patiently waiting for the day when he and humanity would be ready.